in Phoenix the other night. Excellent win. They go on I think 17-5 to close the game.
Yep, huge game from Denny Avdia.
Just awesome. We talked about it the other day. I just want to say, at the trade deadline, the Blazers had lost 6 games in a row, were 5 games under 500. I think they were in 10th or 11th. And, there was the opportunity there to sell. They could have traded. I don't think there was a robust market for Jeremy Grant, but they could have just sold him for nothing. They could have traded Drew Holiday. They didn't. There was they were in this period before the new ownership had taken over or whatever. And they play strong basketball down the stretch, win their way over the last week to 10 days of the season into getting to the 7-8 game, then go down to Phoenix. They're behind and come back and win that game on the road. They've really achieved really well. You know what? As I'm watching them win the game and I'm seeing Dame Lillard standing over there on the bench.
Yeah.
It was about a year ago this week, right? When Dame tore his Achilles. And terrible fortune.
I think it was a couple weeks later because it was during the playoffs, but still.
I thought it was, yeah.
I thought it was game 1 of the playoffs.
Don't make us look stuff
either way, it was right. Well, anyway, right around
roughly a year
now for sure. Yeah.
And obviously that was a terrible turn of events and everything like that. Things have gone, as I'm watching Dame celebrate the team going. I would say things have gone pretty well for Dame Lillard. He gets waived, so he's getting all of his money. Granted, it's spread out over some years.
When he was miserable in Milwaukee, by the way, just
gets to come back to Portland, come back home. They give him a 3-year, $42 million deal.
With a no trade clause.
He gets a no trade clause in the deal. Other than LeBron, the only no trade clause in the league, so that he can't get traded to Milwaukee or wherever again. All right.
Yeah.
So, by the way, he gets all of his money from Milwaukee. That's $42 million over and above what that guarantee was going to be. God bless America. And the Blazers end up having a really good step forward season. And when he comes back next year, he's going to be joining a team that's on the upswing.
Yeah, and they've had an on-ball star emerge. Denny Avdia is an on-ball point forward star. Bontemps, Wendy, I don't have a ballot.
Can I interject just because I have a question specifically about this? So I went through this with Stats Williams, who we're about to talk about in a second, our dear friend. I went through the ballot earlier today. The final outstanding thing on my ballot is the final spot on the 3rd All-NBA team, where I'm trying to decide between. Yeah.
This is tough every year, or many years.
Well, and I will say, the fact that two
guys got
players added means that the 2 of these guys are not going to now make it. So Denny is one of them. Mm-hmm. Scotty Barnes, who we talked about before, is another one, and Kevin Durant is the 3rd one.
Wow, Durant is that far back under ballot. That's interesting. And you say there's one spot for those 3, huh?
Well, I can rip through my teams really fast. The first team was the 5 guys. The first team was the 5 guys on the ballot.
Wendy was trying to save that for later.
Well, if you want, we'd save it for later if you want.
No, it's not going to be on this podcast. We're already too long. So
I just think let's just leave it at this. Denny Avdia had an all NBA caliber season. We can say that.
I was trying to ask you guys who I should pick of those 3 guys.
You're not going to get me to commit to that in 30 seconds. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, that's fine. You can think about it.
What else did Stats Williams say?
Well, Stats Williams
said
this one's
wild.
All right. So as part of our discussion today, Stats Williams declared that he had a hot take. And so I said, okay, what's your hot take? And his hot take is that the Portland Trailblazers are going to win this first round series against the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games.
He gave you permission to say this out loud on a podcast.
He gave his permission. So here is his elevator. I said, give me the elevator pitch on why Portland's going to win this series. So this is his pitch. To be clear, Stats Williams, our brilliant friend, this is his pitch. Obviously, they've got a bunch of very good defensive players. They could throw a lot of different looks at Victor. They've got Tumati Kamara, fantastic defender. Drew Holiday. They've got the 2 different bigs, Donovan Clingan and Robert Williams. They could throw at him. I understand Donovan Clingan's not hanging with Victor on the perimeter, but they've got different options they could throw at. They shoot a ton of 3-pointers, not always accurately, but they get up a lot of threes. So if they get into a series and have 2 or 3 games where they go 20 for 50 from 3, which is very possible. That's a lot of points. And as we've talked about, the Spurs, one of the questions about them going into the playoffs is how real is their 3-point shooting. They've got a lot of guys they can also throw at the guards. They don't have to, so they can sort of neutralize them. And finally, you just mentioned how good Denny Avdija is. He's one of the best foul drawers in the league. And if he can get Victor in any kind of foul trouble in any games of this series, that dramatically changes the complexion of the game. So there's the Stats Williams pitch on why Portland can win and why he's picking them to win the series.
Okay, I've got a pitch on why I'm picking the Spurs to win.
They have Victor Wembanyama.
Is awesome. He's by far the best player in the series.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Well, here's the thing. Wemby didn't play against the Blazers this year. In the 3 games, he missed all 3. He missed the last, I think, 2 games that they played last year because of the blood clot. He hasn't actually played against the Blazers since December of 24.
Which is the other thing Matt said, is without that, it's hard to know what the actual contours of the matchup will look like. But
well, and I am very
why
curious.
It's a hot take.
I'm curious to see how they'll defend Wemby, because he's a nightmare matchup for Donovan Clingan, who is a really, really good young big, especially on the defensive end. But we've talked about how Wemby, like these bigs, when Wemby brings them out to the perimeter and he's raining threes and then attacking closeouts, they've got to challenge the 3. Like it's foul trouble waiting to happen. And so
I would guess Thiago Splitter is going to do something akin to what Joe Mazzulla did in the past against Nikola Jokic, and against Victor, I think, where he would have Drew Holiday, or because of the matchups, I think Toumani Camara or Drew Holiday is my guess, will start out on Victor Wembanyama. And if it was me, I would do that, and I would put Donovan Clingan on Stephon Castle, and I would dare Stephon. Listen, Stephon Castle may go 6 for 6. That's fine, but I would dare him to make shots and show he's going to make shots, and then adjust off of that. Because look, to your point, if you put Donovan Clingan on Victor Wembanyama, that's not going to go well. So, that's
it's just a really, really tough matchup for. Yes. A big who is a great defensive anchor, but not I wouldn't say he's fleet-footed.
So let me just say, now granted, Victor averaged less than 30 minutes a game this season, and we'll watch the minutes as they go in the playoffs. Victor averaged more blocks per game than fouls per game. Okay, he only averaged 2.4 fouls per game this year. And the reason is because Victor's arms are so freaking long that he can block and challenge shots without having to be near the player. And so this is the thing.
And he can just be vertical. He doesn't have to get blocks.
He can challenge a shot from the lane. He can challenge a 3 from the lane. It's crazy, but it's true. So I'm sure that Denny will look to go into Victor to try to get foul. He looks for contact every waking second he's on the court. And that's actually one of the reasons why I think that sometimes Victor could be very effective against Shea, because Victor can defend Shea's get to the elbow and operate without actually having to come in contact with Shea, therefore drawing fouls. Now, maybe there will be ways to, there's always counters that you can do in basketball. It's part of the game, but that is something to keep an eye on. Is that Victor, one of his great advantages is that he can defend the rim without having to be physical, and I just want to
draw fouls. I do want to point out